Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Kay Cote, and you are in for another great episode with us. I am your host, and today we have Martin Collins, Managing Director of White Label Resources, on the show. We're going to be talking about his leadership roles and his journey to business ownership, as well as what it's really like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get more episodes just like this one. Welcome to the show, Martin. It's so good to have you. Tell us
Good
a
to
little
see
bit
you.
about you and your business.
Okay, sure. So my journey to running these businesses is on the back of running several businesses. In long and short, I've built and sold a bunch of businesses. Most notably, quite a large business. We had a couple of thousand trucks that I built and sold. And on those journeys, I was really keen as a SME owner that then sold to a bank, so got into the corporate world. I was just keen to kind of understand the journey for SME owners and how the support mechanisms are out there, and they vary. So on my personal journey, on conversations with colleagues and associates with businesses, I kind of identified that as a business owner, we all need professional support. We all need bank managers, accountants, and lawyers. So this business that we're building, this group of businesses, is as a result of my own journey, and I've made some fabulous decisions, and I've made a whole host of horrors. I've made some mistakes, and I've invented some mistakes, and that's got to have some value to someone. So what we did is we kind of sat back and said, well, everybody needs a bank manager, an accountant, and a lawyer. So what we're going to do is try and look at how to get the very best out of them to work with us as business owners, and how to really utilize that professional support. So we're building a group of businesses where I own some law firms, some accountancy firms, finance and insurance businesses, and it's finding that blend of having some amazing professionals working with us, but also supported by people who've run businesses. So often a professional, maybe a lawyer or an accountant, doesn't really understand the challenges that we as business owners face, but we need that professional guidance and advice. So our journey is to blend those two together, to bring those both pieces together to fulfill what the client's looking for as an SME business owner. In a nutshell, that's my elevator pitch, which I know is horrendous. So sorry about that.
No, I thought that was lovely because you really gave a snapshot of the business as a whole, and I think that's such a great business because that's what business owners needs is you kind of creating that one-stop shop, with all the people in place that need to be in place to find success. So I really think that's incredible.
Yeah, and I think it's important to identify where your strengths are. So we've very specifically grouped them in those three pillars. So it's not an accountancy firm that are employing some lawyers to support, or the other way around. It's the lawyers who know how to run legal practices are taking care of that pillar. So you've got the specialists in each area. So you don't dilute down the quality of the service. It's not an accountant who's going to just try and give you a bit of legal advice. It's right, we're going to have the best people in the best places to support the clients who are the best people to run their own business. And if we can do that whilst underpinning it with a bit of business knowledge, then with a bit of luck, we're gonna deliver some interesting customer stories.
Oh, definitely. And I'd like to dive into your role in the business. Like, what does your day to day look like, and how many hours would you say you're split between working on the business versus in the business?
Yeah, I mean, that's the key question, isn't it? It's where, as business owners, we often struggle and we fall down, and because you've got to be. People say you've got to work on your business, not be in it, and of course that's true. But you've got to be in your business as well. You've got to know your business, and you can't. Delegation isn't a case of absolving yourself. It's still very much important that you find that balance. But of course, it's very easy as a business owner, especially when we're passionate about what we're doing, and it's what we've dreamt of or built up. That what you actually do is you lose sight and you get drawn in. So it is important. So where I sit at the moment is having gone through. So we had this. I had this vision in probably 2015 as I exited the last key businesses. and we started to build that through. COVID slowed us down, but we've just concluded the cycle of the operational structure. So we've just finished buying the law firms. So now my being in the business is hopefully going to slow down. And I think there's probably a few people that work with me will be delighted to see me not so much in the business, and actually come back and now start working on the business strategically, how we continue to develop all the various threads and strands, because the most important thing is the client service and the client journey. The rest will follow. If we're good at what we do, revenues will follow, opportunities will follow. So now it's really making sure we've got that cultural belief behind us with the client base.
Oh, definitely. And how would you say that you found success in doing that? Because I know that's where a lot of business owners struggle, is that in their business versus on their business. And how have you kept that, I guess, the harmony there? The word balance can be a little bit like, because with
Yeah.
business ownership, it's like it's kind of an ebb and flow. So
Yeah.
how do you find that within the work you do?
Yeah, really difficult. I think anyone that tells you otherwise is kidding themselves. I learned early doors. I had some great people around me in the businesses that we built and grew. And as I say, one particular business was a very large business that I sold. And you've got to recruit the right people. And the right people doesn't necessarily mean the technical skill set. If you have a business and a model and an integrity and a behavior and a culture, I've always been someone that, well, let's recruit to that. We can probably enhance the skills that we need where we need them, but you've got to have the right people. And when you're able to do that, you build the right spirit. So I'm very much servantile leadership. Like, I come into this business, and I'm looking at how I can support my team to get better, because if we can deliver that, then they're going to be looking to how to support the client for them to get better. So I think it's really important we start at that basis. And if you do that, you can put the other parameters in. So you can put some KPIs in place, some monitoring, some analysis that allows you to have a helicopter view, drill down if you need to. So, the key with KPI references and analysis is what's important to your business one month is different the next month, so they need to be changed and refreshed. And when you do that, you can look at the metrics that drive your business. You can get into the detail of them without living the detail. So if you've got the right systems, the right approach, I'm a big process management person. If you get that right, you support your team members and your colleagues on how best to achieve that. And you really, so it's not about this is what I'm expecting. It's about this is where you're going to get to by following these roles, these opportunities, these processes, and these methods. That does allow you then to work on the business a lot more, because the metrics you need to see, you're naturally going to learn from, and you're going to be pushing out autonomy to your team. And that delegation piece then comes in hand, because you can trust them, because you can see the output quickly if you need to. And by trusting your colleagues, you're going to get so much more. That's going to lead to training opportunities, development opportunities, and everything that comes with it. So I think that's the bit I'm really looking forward to getting back into now that we've done a lot of the acquisition legwork.
That's incredible and such great advice. I was taking some notes myself because I just feel like that was such a valuable, you know, nugget of content that you shared. So thank you for that. And I'm very curious, how many employees do you currently have right now?
So we're just tipping over 65. I think we're 65 or 66. Just with the recent acquisition. We have, I think we have 5 new team members joining us over the summer period that are currently working notice elsewhere. So we've got some really exciting new lawyers, in a couple of fabulous people joining us in our Leicester operation, which is really exciting. We've got some people in other parts of the business. So we're building up. And again, for me, recruitment's about finding the right person. You haven't always got the job for the person, but when you come across that right person, don't let the opportunity go. If they're right for you in the business, go have a look at how you can make it work to employ and recruit them.
Oh, I completely agree with that. Kind of diving into what makes your business special. It's a really unique model. I really love what you're building. And I'd love to know, who do you primarily serve? Like if I was in your audience, how would I know I'd be a great fit for your services?
Okay, so we're kind of, it's a broad with SME. For us, an SME is anybody from a sole trader through to probably sort of 30, 40 million turnover. We do have some huge clients. Our largest client is a 7 billion euro turnover business, international business. So we have that because some of our people that have joined us in the business at SLT level and throughout have brought different contacts and experience. So I think so. The SME sector is my passion because that's where you can make the most impact, either as a business owner or somebody supporting and working. And what we've tried to do with the significant levels of experience I've got across the team, from partners that have worked for 200 million turnover accountancy businesses and legal practices, and I sold a business to a bank and worked within that right at senior level right the way through 2008 and the financial crisis. So what we do have as an organization is some really interesting high-level corporate experience that we can get that knowledge in a very quick, rapid and open manner to our SME sector, so that the professional services are doing, because sometimes SMEs aren't seen as sexy to some of the larger organizations of professional services. And I have an issue with that, because I think, no, everyone should have that opportunity, that access to advice, but good quality advice. Because as a business owner, we only know what we know, and we don't know what we don't know. So if you think you're getting great advice and you're not aware of what's out there, we've got to bridge that gap. We've got to find a way of getting that and help propel our SME clients through that, because that new start one-man band may choose that's as far as they want to go, and they always want to be that. Brilliant. We can support you and help you and guide you. But if we can bring some of the tricks of the trade and the knowledge and experience we've got from a variety of levels to help propel you quicker through that journey, it's got to be a good thing.
That sounds incredible. And it kind of leads me perfectly into our next portion of questions about your marketing. How are you getting your business out there? So I love to hear how successful businesses are doing that. And I'm always curious to what methods they're using. So what would you say percentage wise per month do you of your business, of your income, that you put towards your marketing budget?
So it's probably difficult to talk in a percentage wise, because of the growth model we have and the way the acquisitions are driving our revenue models as well. It depends who you ask. If you ask the person in my organization who's responsible for marketing, they'll tell you not enough. If you ask my CFO, she'll probably tell you too much. I think one thing, because our model is incredibly unique, there's organizations that do versions and parts of what we do, but not across the three key pillars. Mm-hmm. We're literally embarking on our PR and marketing opportunities and journey as we speak. I'm very, very grateful that you've invited me along today, because I think this will help both in terms of my understanding, but also building up that message. In our law firm, for an example, we've just bought a business in Leeds called Front Row Legal. In all our businesses, the key is keeping the branding. So every business we've bought, we retain that branding. It's really, really important. It's important that a business owner knows they can rely on a brand and the people behind it. And we don't want to be lost underneath, sort of just, branding that's just a national provider. But from a marketing point of view, the company in Leeds are very, very strong on business support, but also sport and media. So literally this afternoon, as we're recording this afternoon, Richard, the managing partner there, is being interviewed by Sky Sport to give a bit of professional advice on the Manchester City litigation, which is UK soccer for you. But because he's seen as an expert in that field, and he's quite often on media channels providing expert advice for player contracts, litigation, whatever within the sports and media piece. So what we're trying to consider is how do we get ourselves known out there in perhaps the less usual and typical methods of marketing. So we're looking to build our social media presence, and everybody who's far younger than me, which seems to be most people nowadays, have a better grasp of how best to utilize that. So we're keen to do that. But what I'm very keen to do is let's get out in front of people. We were just having a conversation earlier. Let's not do an email marketing campaign. Let's go old school. Let's go over to that industrial estate and knock everybody's door, because they're all business owners. Let's go knock the doors and have a chat and see what comes of it, because no one's doing that. And we want to be We want to be available. We are doing workshops to give people free 30-minute slots about any of the different pillars, because again, it's ever so difficult as a business owner to access those things without thinking, I've just paid £150 an hour for my first cup of tea from that lawyer, let alone anything else. So we're open to that piece. Maybe that's a question you can ask me this time next year, and I'll tell you where we've got to on it.
We'll have to have you back again.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's a really great, like, I really like how you talk about marketing because that is very true. That in person, there is something special. And I think, like, as the world grows in this crazy direction it's going, I mean, I think that's going to be our key to finding
Yeah.
that success is that community building, like getting in front of
Yeah.
people, saying hello, shaking hands. And so I really like that you're doing that.
Absolutely, and I think it's about being real. It's
Mhm.
no one's too important, no one's too senior, too high and mighty. Look, a business owner running any business of any size, it's a busy, tough old environment to be doing it, and if you know that the people that have got your back in key areas that you're going to need are real, they're physical, they're tangible. You can get behind that person. I
Mhm.
think that's really important, and I certainly know it meant a lot to me in my businesses.
Oh, I love that. And very, very true. And we've talked a lot about the marketing. We've talked about, you gave a brief on the business. I want to get to know about you and your journey a bit more. So, why did you choose to go into business for yourself as opposed to working for somebody else? And what was that transition like for you?
So for me, I'm a bit of the typical story. We were, growing up, we had no money and, all that kind of stuff. And I started with the whole, at the age of 12, I was buying, believe it or not, this was in the 80s, novelty boxer shorts from a factory not far from where I lived, and selling them at school. That was my very first, which is, I know, doesn't cover me in any glory whatsoever, but that was my journey. And I just always wanted my own business. I had a teacher at school called Mr. Barker, who was the one person who was completely, this is in the 80s when things weren't quite so supportive and driven, and he was, mate, you can be what you want. You don't be held back by what you perceive to be your background or your upbringing or restrictions. So I always knew, and actually when I fell into a job in commercial vehicle contract hire and what have you, and I was rapidly progressed up into manager. I was managing a team by the time of 20. Then I was picked up by GE and I was put on a fast track. So I had some fabulous career opportunities, but you're never going to switch off that desire to say, I want to build something myself. I want to
Mhm.
make my mark. I want to drive something. I want to see what it's like. I'm a big fan of learning. This is a great way to learn. As any business owner will tell you, throw yourself headfirst into a business, and you're going to learn quick. And that was always the passion. So the moment I got the opportunity to do that, that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, I love that story. And it's just so true. You see it, and it's like when you have that kind of like burning desire in you, it's like
Yeah,
in your soul. You're like,
yeah.
you've got to take that chance.
And when the penny switches and you back yourself, and that's just
Mhm.
having the confidence to go, you know what, it's going to be all right, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And we talk often about it's a lonely place, and it is, but when you really back yourself, you suddenly realize you are so far from on your own. You've got you might not realize they're there yet, or you might not have reached out to them, but so many people have got your back. And I think that's when it gets super exciting, because you suddenly realize what the potential is in whatever
Mhm.
your business is, and wherever you want, because you trust in yourself, and now you realize that the people have got confidence in you, and you realize it's gonna, it's tough, but let's take it on, and let's go for it. It's the most exciting moment.
It really is. There's like a switch that happens. You're like you're pushing that boulder up the hill, and then all of a sudden you start getting people start to come up to you, or they'll recognize something. You're like, people start to believe in what you're doing, and
Yeah,
that is like a
yeah,
game changer in business, I feel like.
absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
Well, looking back at your journey so far, business owners go through so many ups and downs, and there's so many challenges and so many beautiful things that come of that. What has been one of your most memorable roadblocks that you were challenged with, that you overcame, and how did that impact the growth of your business?
I guess So I mean, look, through my business journeys, my first business I set up was in 2002, January 2002, and as I say, I've built and sold and had some fabulous times and with fabulous people. I've been through some challenges. I've had two over the 20 odd years of business. I've had two very large litigation battles with PLCs. I've had all the challenges of bad debt and well, how am I going to pay for everybody on Friday because it's payday? All those things. But I guess, and I don't know what the trigger was, but I do remember sitting down and realizing, you know what, it's all about the customer. And I know that sounds a little bit, sort of obvious and tacky, but if you're really, really good at what you do and you focus on delivering for that customer, everything else is going to be all right. It's going to come. It's going to come. Go and be amazing at what you do. Play to your strengths, and you're going to be okay. And if the focus is customer service, which I think it always has to be, and you focus on being really good. Don't try and divert yourself into grabbing a quick, we've got to drive our revenues up. Let's quick do that deal over there and that deal over there. No, be amazing at what you do. Focus on what you do. Focus on your customer service as a result of what you're really good at. The rest is going to come. And I think when I realized that, it stopped me trying to do quick, small wins or grabbing small opportunities. And it was, I mean, you've got to be confident. You've got to get that confidence going. But I think once that happened, I haven't looked back, and that was, it was quite a while ago because I'm quite old. But I think that's the biggest thing that I learned that just changed what I was doing.
Oh, that is so powerful, like what you said right there, because it's just so true. And it's like you're seeing the growth that comes of these times that are hard, and it like gives you kind of a rocket launch into like, what can I take on next?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's trusting yourself, and trusting yourself isn't about blind faith and just, I mean, you're never going to back me to be a basketball player, so you play to your strengths, you understand what they are, and then trust yourself and focus on that, and it's going to be all right.
Oh, definitely. Well, we have covered some amazing ground in this conversation. It's been such a joy talking with you, and we are going to dive into our rapid fire questions. Are you
Okay.
ready for some rapid fire?
I'm not sure. I'll let you know in 5 minutes. Go for it.
All right. So for our rapid fires, we just ask you questions that you just answer top of mind, quick answers, the first thing that comes to your mind. We have 4 questions. All right. So, Martin, what is the key to success for you?
The key to success for me is, again, a little bit old school. It's integrity. And that's the integrity of you as the individual, the culture in your business, and your clients. Don't get into bed with the wrong clients.
That's a powerful one. What is one piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Oh gosh, that's an interesting one. So probably the best piece of advice I can give is back to when you work on your business as opposed to in it. Don't assume that the right thing to do is step back without having the right controls. And there can be really simple controls, really simple analytics and measurement tools, but it's the boring part of it. But that will allow you to do so much more as long as you've got accuracy in a quick and brief firing line that allows fast decision making, not procrastination.
Mm. And what is one book or any piece of content, podcast, it could be anything that you've read most recently?
Oh gosh, so in terms of podcast, I think present company excluded. I think the most recent and popular one I listen to is Michael, I think it's Brown, Caffeine for the Soul. Fantastic, really interesting guy. And if I'd have been a far more appropriate fan of his, I'd know exactly what his surname was, but it's definitely called Caffeine for the Soul. And from a book point of view, I'm rereading an old 1980s classic by a lady called Louise L. Hay, You Can Heal Your Life, which is something, it's quite interesting because it makes lots of references to videotapes or things like that. But she was one of the pioneers of some of the modern thinking and self-development that we have. She sort of led it in the 70s. And it's one of those books that is one of those books I like to read regularly, along with The Alchemist. I think they're good books to just sit and flick back through.
Definitely. And the last question is, if you had to choose only one area of your business you could immediately improve on tomorrow, what would it be?
Customer service. I think always it doesn't matter how good you are. It uh yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter how good you are. You can always improve it. And I think if you have, we can everyone talks about, there's continuous improvement and ways you can do this, that, and the other. If you continually believe that you can focus and you can improve your customer services, everything, that opportunity for the client becomes brilliant. Well, that can only be good for you as a business. But if you think you've achieved it, you're only going backwards. So always, that's the one area we always want to look at.
That is an incredible answer too. And this has been such a great conversation. And I would love to get our audience plugged into your work and you. So how can people find you? Feel free to share your contact info.
Okay, great. Yeah, well, look, I mean, the easiest way is to email me, martin@whitelabelresources.co.uk. I would be delighted to hear from anyone. I'm probably the least likely to be any use to anybody, but I will definitely signpost everybody, all the amazing people in the business. But I would go to our website. Our main website is whitelabelresources.co.uk. We have our legal brands and everything, but we're signposting out of there. Email me. Be delighted to talk and chat to anybody.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Martin. And we have one final question for today. What is most inspiring to you today?
Oh, well, it's certainly not the start of the electoral campaign in the UK. That's about as inspiring as a damp cloth. Probably the thing that inspires me most is watching the success of other people, and by that I also think, how other people define what the success is, because success is so different to all of us. For one person, it's cash in the bank. For another person, it could be their health, it could be the success of their family, it could be a million different things. So I quite like watching how other people define success in their lives, because I find that quite inspirational, when that's a young person, my children, their friends at school, or whether it's a client who picks the phone and goes, oh my God, you're not going to believe we've done it. And the we've done it could be 20 different sentences depending on the client. But that's the bit I find really quite inspirational, really, hearing that piece from someone.
Oh, well, that is inspiring to me today as well. So, Martin, this has been an incredible conversation. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me and share your journey.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me on. Real pleasure.